Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the chilling stories of 3 evil killers who tormented their victims' families. These are the kinds of cases that stick with you long after the headlines fade. Stories that keep you up at night wondering how someone could inflict so much pain on others. Viewer discretion is advised. We're going to journey into the darkest corners of the human psyche, exploring the motivations and methods of these killers. But more importantly, we're going to remember their victims and acknowledge the enduring suffering of their loved ones. Their stories deserve to be told. Get ready to delve into the disturbing cases of Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, and Jeffrey Dahmer. Brace yourselves, because these stories are not for the faint of heart. Wayne Gacy. The name alone sends chills down your spine. But behind that name wasn't just a cold-blooded killer. There was a cunning mind that knew how to exploit the vulnerabilities of young boys. Gacy often portrayed himself as a friendly, hard-working contractor, even dressing up as Pogo the Clown for children's parties and charity events. Can you imagine the horror of discovering that the jovial clown entertaining your child was a monster in disguise? Gacy's reign of terror lasted from 1972 to 1978, a period during which he murdered at least 33 young men and boys. He lured many of his victims to his home with promises of construction work, exploiting their need for income and their trust in a seemingly upstanding member of the community. Imagine the desperation of these families, their sons disappearing without a trace, only to be found later in the most horrific of circumstances. Gacy's home in Norwood Park Township, Illinois, became a house of horrors. He often tortured his victims before killing them, burying most of their bodies in a crawlspace beneath his house. The smell of decay became so overpowering that neighbors complained, but Gacy dismissed it as a plumbing issue. Can you imagine living next door to that, completely unaware of the atrocities happening just feet away? The discovery of the bodies sent shockwaves through America. The sheer number of victims, the calculated cruelty, the betrayal of trust. It was almost too much to comprehend. Families who had held on to hope, praying for their son's safe return, were dealt a devastating blow. Their grief was compounded by the gruesome details of the crimes and the public spectacle that followed. The families of Gacy's victims had to grapple with the unimaginable. Their loved ones were not just gone, but taken from them in the most brutal way imaginable. The psychological scars left by Gacy's crimes ran deep, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. The impact on these families was immeasurable. They had to navigate not only their own grief, but also the relentless media attention and the stigma associated with such a horrific crime. Imagine the strength it took for them to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, forever haunted by the knowledge of what their loved ones endured. The case of Wayne Gacy serves as a chilling reminder that evil can wear a friendly face, and that monsters often hide in plain sight. It's a stark reminder of the vulnerability of youth and the importance of vigilance in a world where appearances can be deceiving. Gacy was convicted on 33 counts of murder and sentenced to death. He spent 14 years on death row before being executed by lethal injection in 1994. While his death brought a sense of justice, it could never erase the pain he inflicted on his victims and their families. Their stories serve as a testament to the devastating impact of violence and the enduring strength of the human spirit. From the charismatic law student to the cunning escape artist, Ted Bundy was a master manipulator who shattered the illusion of safety for an entire generation. He preyed on young women, often approaching them in public places, feigning injury or impersonating authority figures to gain their trust. Imagine being approached by someone like Bundy, your guard down, only to realize too late that you've fallen into a trap. Bundy's crimes spanned across multiple states, leaving a trail of heartbreak and devastation in their wake. He would often bludgeon his victims before strangling them to death, his methods escalating in brutality over time. The terror his victims must have experienced in their final moments is unimaginable. What made Bundy even more terrifying was his ability to blend in. He was described as handsome and charming, someone you wouldn't suspect of such horrific acts. This made him even more dangerous, as he could easily gain the trust of his victims and those around him. Can you imagine the shock and disbelief when Bundy's true nature was revealed? Bundy's trial captivated the nation, his chilling charisma on full display even as he faced overwhelming evidence. He represented himself in court, further fueling his narcissistic need for attention. The families of his victims had to endure the agonizing experience of seeing him manipulate the courtroom, all while carrying the weight of their own grief. Despite his attempts to deny his crimes, Bundy eventually confessed to over 30 murders, although the true number of his victims remains unknown. Each victim had a name, a story, a family who loved them dearly. Their lives were cut short by a man driven by a darkness that few can comprehend. The families of Bundy's victims were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, forever haunted by the knowledge of their loved ones' suffering. They endured not only the unimaginable pain of loss, but also the constant media scrutiny and the chilling realization that a monster had walked among them. The legacy of Ted Bundy continues to cast a long shadow. He became a cultural phenomenon, the subject of countless books, documentaries, and films. But beyond the morbid fascination, it's crucial to remember the victims, their families, and the enduring impact of Bundy's reign of terror. Their stories serve as a reminder of the importance of staying vigilant, trusting your instincts, and honoring the memory of those lost to violence by working to prevent future tragedies. Let's not allow the sensationalism of Bundy's crimes overshadow the human cost of his actions. Chapter 3. The Milwaukee Monster, Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer. The name alone evokes a visceral reaction, conjuring images of unspeakable acts and a chilling detachment from humanity. Dahmer was a serial killer whose crimes shocked even the most seasoned investigators. His gruesome acts of murder, dismemberment, and cannibalism remain etched in the annals of criminal history. Dahmer's victims were primarily young men, many of them from marginalized communities. He would lure them to his apartment with promises of money or alcohol, exploiting their vulnerabilities and societal marginalization. Can you imagine the fear and desperation these young men must have felt as they realized the true nature of Dahmer's intentions? Once inside his apartment, Dahmer's horrific fantasies became a terrifying reality. He would drug his victims, often torturing and killing them, before engaging in acts of necrophilia and cannibalism. The details of his crimes are so disturbing that they defy comprehension, leaving even the most hardened individuals reeling in horror. Dahmer's apartment became a macabre museum of his own making, filled with the chilling remnants of his crimes. Photographs of his victims, body parts stored in jars, and the stench of decay permeated the air. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, a testament to the depths of human depravity. The discovery of Dahmer's crimes sent shockwaves through Milwaukee and beyond. The sheer brutality and depravity of his actions were almost too much to bear. Families who had reported their loved ones missing, clinging to hope, were met with the devastating confirmation that their worst fears had come true. The families of Dahmer's victims were left to grapple with the unimaginable. They had to confront not only the loss of their loved ones, but also the horrific circumstances of their deaths. The psychological scars left by Dahmer's crimes ran deep, a constant reminder of the evil that had shattered their lives. The case of Jeffrey Dahmer ignited a firestorm of debate about societal issues such as homophobia, racism, and the failures of the criminal justice system. Many believe that Dahmer's crimes could have been prevented if authorities had taken earlier reports of his disturbing behavior more seriously. Despite the horrors he inflicted, Dahmer's own troubled psyche became a subject of scrutiny. Diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and schizotypal personality disorder, his case raised complex questions about the nature of evil and the role of mental illness in violent crime. The legacy of Jeffrey Dahmer is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can reside within seemingly ordinary individuals. His story serves as a stark warning about the importance of addressing mental health issues, combating societal prejudices, and holding those in positions of power accountable for their actions. Thank you for watching. The stories we've explored today are not easy to hear, but it's important to remember the victims and their families who endured unimaginable pain. Their stories serve as a reminder of the human cost of violence and the importance of seeking justice. If you want more information about these cases, check out the link in the description. There you'll find resources for further reading and organizations dedicated to supporting victims of violent crime. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Your engagement helps us raise awareness and keep these important conversations going.